going live right now. Okay, wicked. I've got to set RST up. How are you this morning, Desmond? Good. That's positive. Well done. Oh. That is a pretty good sleep, you're right. I mean, that's pretty good going, Des. It's pretty good going. Nice. Nice. Yeah, man. Just keep her lit. Love it. Yeah, I think so too. Fuck's sake. 53.74. Oh boy, what am I even doing? 53.74. Alright, that should be good. Should be good, should be good. Right. Now we've got some bits. We can exit that. It's too early, Matt. It's too early. I know, guys, it's quite early in the morning, isn't it? But we are going to do some... We're going to do some bits. We're going to do some RST bits. Just because that's how we roll. We're early mornings. Yeah. Just see...
Green light, green light.
You're on what? Oh, thanks very much. I've got no game sound now, though. I fixed it on Discord for you, and apparently I've got no game sound. Can you guys in the stream... Oh, no, I've got game sound now. Okay, but is that coming through on the stream? Because it doesn't look like it is. What is going on? Oh, my days. Well, the frustrating thing about this is I haven't changed anything, right? So...
Yeah, I get this sometimes as well.
Oh, right. Okay, so I think that's fixed it. Does that come through now?
Yeah.
Okay. So
like I went live the other night on Streamlabs, and for some reason Streamlabs wouldn't load my chat. So I had to use my phone to look at chat.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah, super annoying. But luckily enough, I got taken out on turn 1, so I didn't have to race.
Oh, it didn't really matter. Okay. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I don't think I've driven the McLaren on Spa at all yet, so the first few laps of this are just going to be...
Oh, have you not?
Finding our feet. Yeah.
Should have drove the Aston.
Yeah, but that's not the point. I want the McLaren to. Oh, when it goes through there flat, I know I just about it, but even on the aggressive preset, right?
So you're just going to start on the aggressive preset and then work from there?
Yeah, exactly what we're going to do today is pay attention when we're on the road. And yeah, just start on aggressive, absolutely start from scratch, see where we can get to, do a bit of RST, get that up on the screen and talk through what we're looking at as a bit of a taster of, okay, that didn't go too well, of
how to tune.
Yeah, I'm going to start doing some RST basics as well, like like what to read and how to read it, and even stuff like how to get tyre pressures perfect using the software and all that sort of thing, right? This doesn't actually feel completely terrible. The brake is just super forward at the minute, so I'm getting that understeer. Just coming into corners. Just It's usually about 52, 53 in this car. So. It's just that initial, when you press the brake, it just wants to go straight.
Yeah.
And there's no, okay, we'll get to the big old lift through there. There's no option to, there's no choice, you have to go straight. It just doesn't like it. It just doesn't like brake license high. I mean, these corners, which are usually difficult flat, I know we've got low fuel, but it's pretty easy flat. Okay, so let's just get these tyre pressures right quickly and. That was a bit high, wasn't it, that one? And let's just guess. Let's just put it on.
Yeah, we little tweet out there as well, Mr. Zermatt.
That's it. So we got our crew. Set 7. Welcome everyone. Good morning. V1. Let's call it that. We're just gonna get used to it. Just run a few laps. We don't really need this traction distance. This hardly even, don't think. Not usually, I think. See how we go. So we're going to look at some RST in a minute. Just going to get a bit of a baseline first of what's going on, what the car feels like. Get used to driving again. Can't really remember what times we're sort of aiming for around here. It's like 16s, isn't it?
Yeah.
Got some work to do on that 19.5. I know there's only first lap.
Go on.
I mean, it's so easy flat through there. That's not even funny. Super double brakes. I haven't even looked if we got brake pad 1 or 2 on it. We'll have a proper little look at the setup and what we think. It doesn't feel terrible, it's just got a real hit of understeer everywhere. And with everything, the McLaren, like the operating window is super narrow. You can change one thing and whoa, okay, good start. Change one thing and gain 3/10 instantly. It just doesn't feel like it's got any bite at the minute. You're kind of driving around the corners like that there. Like we should have stayed on the fucking road, right? Doesn't feel terrible. Coming out, we've got this like slight oversteer coming out of the corners. So there you can just see I can straighten the steering up and it keeps turning. So it's probably the diff's a little bit too high at the minute. There could be a number of things. We'll have a look at it in a second. Let's do one more song on that, then we'll get into it. So easy flat through there. Des, I've got a job for you.
Yeah.
We can look in the data, but see if you can. Wow, it's really oversteered, just on low speed, just.
I get that on the Aston as well through there.
Do you? Alright.
Yeah.
See if you can clock the top speed before we break into Rake at the end of the straight.
I do.
Do you know what you get in the Aston? Or are you in kilometres?
Ooh, I'm in kilometres.
Oh, you got kilometres on the dash. If you can see that. It's too small for you.
Let me make full screen. $262.
Okay.
I want to say it's 276 or 267 in the Aston. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Right. Okay. So.
Hold on. Let me check.
Hopefully it's 267, right? Because it's 15 kilometers an hour. It's pretty hefty.
Oh, I'm just beast, you know. Look at that aero Spa.
Okay, let's go back. Right. Let's see. Oh, let's do the tyre pressures on the rear. Just let's close up these ducts a little bit. We don't need them. That. So we can come down a bit. We can come down. Oh, that one can stay roughly. Come down. This one can come down much. So let's just have a look at this setup. So we're just sort of, it's just an average starting setup, isn't it? Springs at a kind of middly. You got this 1001 thing that they seem to do a lot, and this rear bump stop range is huge. So that rear
267. Sorry,
it's 267. Okay, cool.
Yep.
That rear bump stop range is just going to make us super understeery. So if we lower that down, it's going to make us more oversteery, right? So just bear that in mind. Diff's kind of middlish. I'm surprised that's not high. I thought it would be up here, but quite low anti-rolls as well. Damping, it's just sort of middle of the road. Let's bring in our little RST. I mean, these are super. I mean, actually, the sort of these weren't too bad. These aren't looking terrible just for a sighter lap. Let's have a look at the aero. One of the things I like looking at on RST is the fact that you can. So they've changed all the graphs on these recently because. Oh, come on, give me the whole graph. There you go. Why won't you let me? So one of the good things about RST, hey cuddles, is at the end of the longest straight, or one of the longest straight, and actually. I wonder what speed we've got here. So we've got 262 there, 259. So it is here in the McLaren. Okay, you can check this centre of pressure. So we're looking over here at the numbers, right? And one of the main calculations on RST is really great, which you can do on Motec, which is a bit of a ball ache to do. Is this centre of pressure, which is basically where the airflow of the car, like where the centre of the airflow is over the car, and the smaller the number, the more rearward it is, and the more stable the back end of the car is going to be. Okay, and the way they sort of calculate it, the optimum sort of range is whatever the weight distribution of the car is, which is 53% on the McLaren. Just write that down, 53%. Well, I think it's 53.5%.
How do you know that? Is that just what it is?
Yeah, basically. Plus or. Well, basically plus 5 to 8%, right? So we should be somewhere in between 58 and 61 or 62 here. So we're a little bit frontward at the minute, which is interesting because we thought the car was understeering, right? So just as an initial gauge, but we can change that. We haven't even had a look at the aero, right? So let's get rid of that. Let's have a look at the aero. So if we were to, for example, if we were to, let's just show you, okay? So let's put this front ride height down, and then let's just do another lap, and we'll compare the two on the graph, okay? We need to put that traction down again. And you take it at the end of the straight, really. It's not a golden rule, but it's quite a good one to just see what's going on with the car, okay? And it's quite good to see it in action because it's really, really clear. And it's sort of one of the first things I try and do is try and get that aero balance slightly right. A lot of the aggressive presets are really stable in the way that everything's neutral in the setup. So like the springs, we had 1660 and 1700, so they're pretty. Oops. Pay attention. They're pretty even, right? And the anti-roll bars were 4 and 3, so you don't really have any big discrepancies there. So you can kind of concentrate on the aero to start with. Just get a base, and you can always adjust it later, right? So immediately we've got another mile an hour there, I think. You can already see it's because we dropped that front right hard, right? It's on the nose completely. So I'm expecting this number to go up So it will be somewhere around 70 or 72, I reckon. So you can see how much more on the nose it is there. I barely have to turn around the corners because you've increased the rake. Gassy disc will explain how you use the bump stops. I noticed in Motec it record when you're in the bump stops. Fronts are hitting bump stops 70% of the time. Okay, yeah, so we'll just get this lap done, then we'll do a bit of bump stops. It's super on the nose. It's going to be this ride height's going to be the way. There aren't really any bump. As long as this goes over Eau Rouge, I don't really take that. Then this will be the way. But we'll just go with we'll just finish this lap so we get the RST output. Have a look at the COP and then we'll do bump stops in a minute, cuddles. All right? That's okay. I mean, we're definitely going to have to take some aero off because it's so easy through there.
I think the guys are running like 2 and 3 wing.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. This was a terrible lap, isn't it? For the purposes of just get it over the line. Okay, so let's bring up our RST again, and with the magic of this, we can. It's actually gone down. Okay, so that's interesting. So with their new update, they've given us a bit of a comparison tool here, so you can select whatever lap you want, right? So if we just take this point at the end of this straight, so you can see we're doing what we're doing 262, and we're actually going faster with that front nose down a little bit further. Okay, so our rake is more, the nose is lower. You can see the center of pressure was 68 last time, just at this particular point. It fluctuates, right? A couple of just as you're going over the bumps and that sort of thing. But if you just take 1 point, it's 68, 61. So let's just take one of these. Okay, so 65 and 62. So we're already in that range, really, between 58.5 and 61.5, almost. We're almost there, right? So we know we're definitely going to be taking off some aero, but you can see the rake is more, the difference between the rear and the front. And we're getting, at this point, almost a kilometre an hour more, just from that simple change, right? So if we do it again, if we were to, you can see this number's up at 9.3. If we were to, say, take a couple of clicks of rear end, it goes way up, and we should see the same effect, so it should start coming down a little bit. But I want to kind of offset that. Maybe we'll take another click of wing off. Something like that, maybe 70 and 6. Just give it a go, see what happens to the graph. That's what half tuning is, right? It's half to do this again. Des, remind me to do the traction.
do the traction.
I'm just going to do it now. What am I doing? Hey JR, how you doing? Right, so let's just do it, and then we'll compare these two laps and see what we're going to. How fast do you think we're going to get down the straight, Des?
264.
JR, I've got no idea what times I'm doing. This is lap 3, and well, I haven't really done a real lap yet because we're just pissing about with a few things, really. I guess tune in about an hour. You might get a better idea, right? This is just aggressive preset. We're just mucking around with the aero at the minute, okay? Just trying to read some of the graphs on RST using their new comparison tool, which is just out in the beta. Let's see if this is easier or more difficult through here. Oh, I didn't pay attention. Okay, so that definitely understood looking through there, but that was me as well. TC1's fine on the McLaren. It's one of the easiest cars with traction. Definitely try it. You'll get used to it. That was 264, wasn't it? 1 kilometres.
I know.
Yeah, I think it was. You can already see we're proper on edge because we've taken that aero down. TC1, you're brave. It have a Fanatec. No, I don't have a Fanatec, mate. I'm on a G920. Standard pedals. Maybe I'm just brave or stupid. One of the two. Ooh, okay, so we're we're really starting to turn a little bit more. We haven't changed anything with the car. We haven't changed anything with the suspension, the bump stops, the anti-roll bars, anything like that. This is pure for me, and like purely on the aero, and pure feel really at the minute that we're just mucking around with. The McLaren's got a super small operating window, so we need to find it in the aero really quickly, because if we do everything else first and we make it feel nice. Ooh, okay, there's that oversteer. If we make it feel nice and then we muck around with the aero, we're not going to be in that operating window anyway, because car's going to feel great, and then we're going to drop the front ride height down. It's going to be undrivable. It's going to be so oversteery. So I'd rather do it now, get a baseline.
Do you always do aero first?
Yeah, a lot of the time. Just because that centre of pressure graph is so easy to read.
I don't use RST. I might start using RST instead of Motec.
You do it. It's. I think the thing with Motec for me, right, is someone else has set up the page for you, and there's so much stuff in there that like 99% of people don't know how to read, including me. I don't know how to read half the shit. And loads of the graphs are just gobbledygook, and you only end up doing it for 2 or 3 essentially trying. Oh my god, okay. So we know it's a bit squidgy through there. You only end up. So let's use this one as a base now. Let's get rid of this one. Oh shit, selected too many laps. Okay, that's better. So the red one's the original one, so it's gone back up a bit. Okay, so let's just take 1 point. So we're back up at 64. Okay, so I reckon we need maybe slightly more error. You only end up using like 1 or 2 of the graphs, right? But with RST you can go through and you can, or like even on the aero you can be like, oh yeah, like I don't know.
It it seems like it's a lot easier to use than Motec.
Yeah, it is. I mean, some of this is manic, right? I think that's the. It looks crazy because of the. But you can see what the rake is straight away. You could be like, oh, that lap I was using this rake and it was okay. Do you know what I mean? It's just easier to use. And because there's only a set amount of things and it's not that customizable, which is good, you know exactly what you're looking for when you know what you're looking for, right? So let's just stay on this aero one. So
have you got a link to it, or
we could put a link to it, yeah. Let's pin that link. So drop the fast rebound and fast dampener as low as you can. Okay, let's go with that. So why do you think we should do that? So the point of this is, why do you think we should we haven't even looked at the dampers yet, and why do you think we should do that now as opposed to at the end when dampeners we could use them to tweak stuff. 2 brake horsepower lap, thanks for that. Can't run lower than wing lower than 3, so I reckon I don't really want to run less rate than this, otherwise we won't get much rotation. But I don't think we need much more wing, really. We can't afford to run too much wing. Yeah, I've got the beta version, mate, so that's where all the new comparison stuff comes from. Hang on, let me just open this up again so I can see what's going on. Okay, so the car was feeling super oversteery, then we made it a little less oversteery, then we made it more oversteery, just on the air. I think we've got roughly a good balance here, right? Okay, so tire pressures are a bit low, weren't they?
Download RST. Just download it, or do I need to download the beta version, or is there a difference?
So there is a difference, but if you join their Discord as well, hang on, let me get a Discord link.
But just RST. Where's the RST beta?
I think you can only do it from the. I think you have to have it already. You have to have just RST already, and then you have to get the beta on top of that, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So it keeps the weight of the car much more balanced. So it's the second dampener setting and and fourth to lower on the. Yeah, I know where it is, mate. Just wondering what your rationale for it, right? So keeping the car much more stable. I mean, okay, so while we're talking about that, there's other ways you can do this. So under handling and... Is it under handling? Okay, so pitch and roll gradients. We'll talk about this, I was going to talk about this in a bit, right? But these values need to be between 0.3 and 0.4, really. The front and the rear roll gradient. It's really interesting. So obviously the roll is the lateral movement, the side to side. And on a track like this where you're super high speed, you don't want much roll at all. Exactly what you're saying, keep this car stable. But you need that front and back as well. So I remember I was talking to BAM7, I was still going to call him BAM7, TFC7 about this. And he was saying, oh, I'm really struggling with the car pitching forward too much under the heavy braking zones. And that's a brake bias thing as well, but it's also a front suspension thing. So basically, if we stiffened up our front suspension loads, we'd see this front roll gradient decrease, right? Because you wouldn't be going from side to side. So what you're saying is right, but there's...
Okay, so I've got RST and beta now. Sorry.
Oh, cool. But there's like 5 different ways you can achieve that, right? So it's about finding the right one. And we can't just jump into doing something when we're looking at the aero as well. But so I'd expect this to be a little bit lower when we really get into these numbers up here on the top right. I don't know if you can see that as my camera. Oh, it is a little bit. Should probably move.
Beautiful fat head is in the way.
Oh, fat head is in the way. It's 0.4 and 0.3. So 0.4 on the front and 0.3 on the back. Expect them to come down a little bit. But what you're saying is right, but there's about 5 different ways to get there, right? So let's just go out again and let's go on brake pad 1 because we got low fuel. We might as well. A lot of races are using brake pads 1. So let's just see. Let's just save. Sorry, V1. Let's just see how we get on. And now we've got a rough balance. Let's just run a couple of laps. It's all about testing, right, and experimentation. Do this, try this. You know, does it work? Yes. Does it work? No. We haven't actually run a proper lap yet, have we? So we haven't even bothered to consider lap times or anything like that. Yeah. So what we're looking at there is the rake. When we're talking about centre of pressure, like we're looking at the rake at the end of a straight, but you can look at it through any corner, right? So if you're trying to get more rotation in a slower corner, you can single out that particular corner and then go, oh, right, okay, we're only using, I don't know, 10 millimetres of rake through there, right? And actually we need more like 12, and we know from some other time that we've been trying this car that 12 is like, we've had a nice balance with that, and then you can start to tune for the rest of the track, right? 263 there, which isn't a bad compromise. I still feel like it's going quite straight under the brakes, but that might be the fact that we don't have stiff suspension at the front of the minute, or whatever. We don't. We'll get to that in a bit. So there's always 2 or 3 things that are, you know, each car is different, but you know that they like. So like with this, with the brake bias, all the aggressive setups seem to be around 58. It's really quite balanced actually, it just doesn't have that initial response, and we'll talk about response versus grip in a little bit as well, which I know Zach from RST is a big fan of talking about. Okay, so this is super okay at the minute. The aero feels not too bad. What was I talking about? Each car has their little quirks, right? So the McLaren, you know that the brake bias, you need to get it down as far rearward as you can without oversteering too bad into corners. So I reckon we could get away with a bit more at the minute, but then it's something you revisit later in the setup. We don't have much response at the minute, but it's gripping quite well. So like Des with your Aston, it's super easy to drive, right? But so the first thing I would be trying to do is make it undrivable. I don't know if there's certain things with your Aston that you do straight away when you set out to tune. I'm kind of putting you on the spot here. You know, Des. Oh, that Q&A worked well with Des. Let's do one more, or a couple more laps just to see how we're feeling with things, because we don't want to keep flicking between trying stuff all the time. We need a couple of laps where we just have a good baseline every now and then, right? So sometimes you can feel it straight away, and sometimes it takes a while. So, and it's Sunday morning and we're just chilling out. And we haven't driven around here before with the McLaren, so just got to get used to it. Okay, so the front's scraping a little bit on the ground, but nothing crazy. We had a little bit of compression speed loss there, but nothing mental. I think that's probably that low ride height. On this fuel, which is another point we should talk about, right, is a right. So. Oh, let's get you over there. So we're still just teetering on the edge of oversteer a little bit, but it seems quite stable in the way that it's giving me that, which is a good sign that we're sort of in the McLaren's operating window, right?
Oh, back here.
Cool. I was just chatting away to you, Des, and then you weren't there. It was great. It was,
Oh, sorry,
good streaming.
My head's met in there.
No worries. I was saying each car has their like quirks that they produce, and that you know to sort of iron them out straight away. So like with this, it's the brake bias needs to drop down to as rearward as possible before you start oversteering into corners, right? Have you got anything like that you change on the Aston at all straight away? I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but
first thing I change, like if I was starting on the chain, it would be the traction.
yeah.
Put that to 1 and 8 straight away, because that seems to be the go-to for the Aston. Brake bias, I run it at about 62.8.
Yeah, those front engine cars are more sort of in the 60s, aren't they? Like I know with the Lexus, anything lower.
Anywhere between 61.8 and 64.4.
Yeah. What okay, that was poor. What sort of tracks do you run the higher brake bias on? Do you know? Don't worry.
I think Kyalami was 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. From the top of my head, I'd have to go through my setups and check.
Yeah.
But I think Kyalami was 1. I think Spa is 1 as well, actually.
So for me, I sort of separate them into corners or tracks where you have to change direction quickly.
Oh, okay.
So, okay, that's scraping a little bit through there, but it's manageable even though I run wide. So like if, but only when you're on the brakes, like changing direction of the brake, right? So if you take Hungary, for example, going into that final section, or the fast right-hander into the final section, where you're changing direction and you're on the brakes at the same time, it's quite.
So it'd be better to have a lower brake bias.
Yeah, exactly. So you get that like natural turn.
Okay, I get you.
And round here
as
as well.
Like, in the Aston, I was understeering a lot and like overshooting the corners.
Yeah.
So that's probably why.
Yeah, try it.
I struggle with that corner so much.
Yeah, I hate it. The front right is pretty low as well.
I don't know what gear to take it in the Aston, if it's second or third. Second, it feels like it's too slow, and then third feels like I don't get enough initial grip into the corner.
Yeah. I mean, from just, I haven't driven that Aston too much, but it's probably going to be third if you can take it right, if that makes sense. If you can get that initial bite in, it's going to be third probably. So, okay, cool. So let's get back to this McLaren. It's feeling fine. The aero feels absolutely fine. Right, we'll just finish this lap. It's the V8 Aston, like, and then we'll have another look at our centre of pressure graph, and then we'll leave it, and then we'll go on to something else for a bit, and we'll not pay attention. We'll revisit it in a bit. Okay. What we're trying to achieve with this area is nice balance, nice feel, even before trying that stuff, but also to try and maximise top speed without losing any cornering ability. Yeah. So when we really get into it at the end of the setup, we can tweak it, but with speakers cornered. Yeah. Okay, let's have another look. Let's bring up this. So just a reminder, this is the aggressive preset. So let's go to our one that we did over here. We don't want this one anymore. And we want to compare it with what we just done. Oh, let's do this other lap because that was. So we're slightly higher COP. So we're actually higher than we should be almost. So I reckon we could take a little bit of aero off, but we'll play with that for the time being. So we're just slightly higher than our sort of 58 to 61.5, right? Just slightly. Drop at 64. That's absolutely fine. Rake. So a lot of people say that rake should be 0 at the end of the highest straight, and that's where you get your highest top speed. Okay, so we can. I kind of want to try this. I know it's frustrating going on aero for so long, but I kind of want to do this for you guys because there's a trade-off between. I reckon 67 is probably about that. There's a trade-off between what the graph says and what real life says on the screen, right? So let's just do it really quickly. Let's just do one lap and just compare the top speeds and the COP and the rake at the end of the highest straight, and obviously the feel of the car as well, because the data is one thing, but feel is another as well.
I'll have a look at your speed for you if you want.
Yeah, we could do it on the data afterwards, but I'm expecting this to be just slightly. I reckon we'll get 264 on this one. If I do Rouge right, because it's all very well getting half a kilometre more down the straight, but if you're losing response through the rest of the lap, then it's a difficult trade-off that. Change around 6,000 in the McLaren. 7,600 even. Just before we brake. Probably a little bit early on the brakes, but you can see already. Okay. So we're really on the nose still with our
263.
Is it 263? Is it okay? Let's finish the lap and do it in the data. Get an exact. Exact one. So this doesn't feel bad actually. I was nervous about putting the rake down at the back, but we've got a bit more stability, and I think it's a good time to talk about grip versus response. I don't know if anyone wants to have a stab. I don't know if anyone's heard Zach at RST talk about this, but if anyone wants to have a stab at what the difference between grip and response is, I'd have a go in the chat. Just a one-liner.
The difference between what? Grip and response?
Yeah. So if you would say the front is gripping and then the front is super responsive, what would how would we think about that? Basically is my question. How would we define that? So
I think I don't know. I would probably say that response is initial grip.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd
and then grip is like how it holds, say, around a long corner.
Yeah, I would not disagree with that. I think for me, grip is like how tight you can turn at certain speeds.
Yeah.
Whereas response is how quickly you can turn to that point.
Yeah, response is how much you initially grip going into a corner.
So a lot of people don't like a car that feels sluggish. And a lot of people mistake having a car which feels slow in the corner and is slow in the corner. Because a lot of people go, oh, I like that. That feels really sharp, that setup. That's wicked. Oh, that's great. But actually, it might not have as much grip because you're trading off. So this is a trade-off, right? You can't have grip and response a lot of the time. You either have there's a sliding scale between the two of them. Yeah, Mike, exactly, yeah. So there's a scale that you need to fit into, but obviously you need some response, otherwise you will never turn in, right? And you need grip because otherwise you won't stay turned in. So it's trying to find the balance, but a lot of people go, the front end on that car feels fantastic. So many times I heard people go, oh yeah, this is great, the front end's great on this car, wicked. And then they jump in another one, and they're like, oh yeah, it's like that because the the front anti-roll bar is jacked up, and we've got that really tall front end. And then they jump in another one where the front anti-roll bar is like 3 as opposed to 10, and they're like, oh, this feels so slow, but my lap times are faster. I don't even know why. Like, that is why. It's because they're trading off too much response. Yeah, exactly. So it's finding that balance. I think this aero has got quite a good balance actually. It's pretty stable, but we're kind of teetering on the edge. And remember, we haven't changed anything else about the car. Yeah, we haven't changed cambers, toes, anti-rolls, suspension, bump stops, nothing. We're all on aero at the minute, so it's interesting to see how it's changed already from an understeery pile of garbage, even just with that front ride height on 53 mils as opposed to 50, and we've kept this consistency where we can't brake for this final chicane, which was terrible. Somehow we managed to gain some time. Okay, right, let's get back to this. So let's have a look one last time on this aero. So let's get rid of this one, let's get rid of that one. So let's select that 18.3 we had and that 18.1. So what do we change to this one? We put the ride height on the back slightly lower. It hasn't made too much difference. We're slightly higher on the centre of pressure, just slightly. And we're not getting any more speed. So I would say that's not a good change, because we've traded off rake, which we're going to need for the amount of turning we want, and we're not gaining anything from it, right? So I'm going to put it back up. Does that make sense? Did I go over that too quickly? Sorry. So the red line, if we just pick this point, we're getting 260. You can't see it. Sorry, it's on the top right, where my ugly face is, right? But this speed is 263.03, okay? And the centre of pressure is 66.8. If we add in the lap that we just done, on that exact point, we're getting the same speed, 263.02. In fact, we're 0.1. There's other stuff in that, right? There's run out of the corner and all that sort of thing. But the centre of pressure is higher, and it's not nearer the where we want to be. Our rake's less at the end of the straight. We could move this point just slightly and see if it's, but we've got less rake. I don't think it's the way for us, so I'm going to put it back up. Or we could drop this, which we really should try, but I'm going to do it with rake to start with. Okay, right, time to concentrate on something else. What do you think we should do next? Or anyone in the chat? What's the next move for people? I don't know what my next move is, but
I would probably say springs.
yeah. Why'd you go for springs? Just cause.
It's just what I do.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Mike
Or you're wrong, I don't know.
Chat? Let's just have another little look at what's going on here. We'll get to damping stuff in a minute. I'm just getting an idea of the fronts don't actually look terrible just from stock. We'll go through some of these graphs in a bit, guys. Okay, so it's still 0.4 and 0.3. So I reckon we had quite a lot of grip in that one. So let's do springs. Let's do what you're talking about. So I think we could get away with having a stiffer car at the front. Okay, Mike. Yeah, I like that. When would you do bump stop range and rates in there, or would you put that in with the springs, what we're doing now?
I'd leave them until the end. I just do the springs and anti-rolls and stuff now, then I'll do the damping at the end.
Yeah, damping at the end is definitely the play. Okay, so definitely move from, for me, my if you were looking at the screens, is aero, mechanical grip, well, electronics first, you know roughly what you need for electronics, aero, and then into mechanical grip. So what we're doing here is basically trading off grip and response straight away. Okay, so if we put this anti-roll bar on 11, we'd have some serious response, because what we're doing is making the relationship between the two front tyres super taut. It's like having an iron bar between them, right? And as one goes one way, the other one follows straight, and there's no room for error. Yeah. Whereas if we had it on one, it's a little bit more flexible, so you can kind of do something and then the other one follows in a bit. So we've got to find our balance. So it was on 4. We just put the spring up, which is going to give us a bit more lateral stiffness. So that sideways pitch or roll gradient is going to be stiffer. But because we're doing it on the springs, it's also going to give us that front to back stiffness as well. So it's just something to think of when you're playing with these. This is only from side to side. Roll bars are only from lateral stiffness, okay? Whereas the springs are going to give you vertical. don't know if you call it vertical, but yeah, does that make sense? So we've stiffened our springs up a little bit, so it's going to give us a bit more response. It's going to give us a bit more flat aero, so it's going to keep the car flatter through the corners. And there's a lot of fast corners on Spa, so and in fact, well, maybe not that much, but let's try it 2 clicks up, right? And we can keep our anti-roll bars the same. I'm going to keep these rear ones the same, and let's just give it a go and see how it feels. Oh, Davey skills. Oh, through super chat. It hasn't come in the chat, but it's flicked up that you've done it, Dave. So thanks for that.
He's hiding, is he?
He is hiding, yeah. It's not come up in the chat, but it gave us the notification that Dave is an absolute babe. Dave with wealth. So let's see how this feels, right? Sunday morning tune in. Talking about lateral grip. Didn't think this would happen this weekend, did you guys?
What, length? What you said?
What was that?
Did you say talk about length? Oh, well.
The grip.
Oh. Jesus.
So, oh boy, that was not a good run. So by stiffening that front spring up, we're expecting to be a little bit more understeery, right? We're trading off a bit of grip, because the idea is you run the springs as soft as possible to get the most grip, but stiff enough to get that response, which is an interesting trade-off. So there's no right or wrong answer, but it's just something to think about. Hey Del Boy, what car are you talking about? Which setup pack are we chatting about? If it's the McLaren, then no. We're doing it right now. You're on board live with Project McLaren. The Lexus has been up for a while, and this already feels much more stable at the front end of this. Need to get this braking right and corner gear to do this in. So I can definitely feel this response already. We've got a lot more turning, which is interesting because technically we should have less grip because we've got a stiffer spring, but in this instance, absolutely fine. It should really show round corners. Like you see where I got that initial slide there. I don't know if I wish I could replay that for you quickly. In fact, we could, but I got an initial slide in the corner, and that's because we've got that response already. There, it happened again. I just overcorrected a bit too much, right? Where this front is biting, so the aero is really coming into play because we've kept that car flatter. The aero is able to really start to take effect, which is nice, and we're not losing too much turn in as well. So we'll try another lap. Yeah. So the idea. Thanks for that, Del. Well, it's kind words. The idea is that this is the sort of primer for a bit of an RST series where I'll talk through super basics, right? Everything from, and this is so difficult, this corner, everything from how to set your tyre pressures up properly, using RST right through to centre of pressure and bump stops and ride heights and all that sort of thing, right? And it'll probably be quite a few. Important to get a good run out there. Quite a few episodes long, but I'd like to say that no one really talks about the ins and outs of tuning, and it's not. There aren't any. There's a bit of a dark art to it, but not really. It's more about feel and knowing how to turn the feel of the car, what you're seeing and feeling and hearing with your face, into okay, that means something on that graph, and how do we change it? Much flatter under braking now. We'll have a look at that pitch and roll gradient in a second. It's a bit wide. How fast does second gear go in the Aston days? Do you remember?
Ooh, I don't know off the top of my head. If you told me you were doing this, I would have had all these questions ready.
Sorry, mate. Well, it just I didn't know I was doing it either, so I sort of got on the PC and was like, oh, you know what I'll do today? I'll tune the McLaren and we'll stream it because why not? Oh, a bit hot into there. This front spring feels quite good actually. We'll have a look at how it's affected both those pitch and roll gradients and that damper histogram, because I know you guys love a damper histogram. Everyone loves a damper histogram. I don't know why. It's my least favourite graph.
I think it's because it's so easy to read.
Well, you're going to be reading it then, Des. No, I'm joking.
I might have now because I'm going now in 4 minutes.
Oh shit! Quick, finish this lap. Okay, fair enough.
But I think visually it's the easiest one for people to actually understand.
Yeah, I'd agree with you.
I think that's why people get so bogged down in it.
And you raise an interesting point, Des. Bogged down. Who here, right in the chat, who here just goes straight for damper history? They get a setup and they go, right, okay, let's look at damping.
I've definitely done it.
Yeah, me too. But I'd be interested to see so much smoother through there. Be interested to see in the chat who's just gone straight for, okay, right, I've driven this setup on a different track. Let's just go to this new track. Let's just go to Spa and go, okay, we'll use that and we'll just adjust the damping because I'm interested to see. It's actually got some really nice response now with that stiffer front spring. Oh, as we run wide, it's okay. We'll cut back a bit. Do you see how, because we've got the aero working first, these changes in springs have a bigger effect. Because if we made that change with a spring and it felt a little bit stiffer, but we weren't in that sweet spot with the aero, it wouldn't be having the same effect as what we've got here, where the car feels completely different just from 1 or 2 clicks. So it's really, you can plant the throttle there and it's really nicely stable at the minute. Shabby through there. Nice, it's easy factor there. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's fair enough, Sam. Let's leave it in 6th or 5th. We should be going into 6th. Okay, so that slight change has gained us a whole host of time, just because I'm more comfortable with it. I really yeah, damping is, well, it's not just curbs, it's bumps as well. My first thought on that would be Alton Park coming out of the hairpin in the middle of the track. You've got a whacking great bump. And the Ferrari doesn't handle it very well because it can't adjust. It doesn't have the right bump damping or rebound to deal with it, right? Whereas something like the Bentley just soaks it up because you've got more of a range to play with. It's inherent in the car as well, but you could make it either way. Or Imola, the chicane, yeah. That's where it really, really plays. Okay, so let's have a look at a few things. Let's look at this pitch and roll gradient. Okay, and I don't know if you guys can see that particularly. You can't see the numbers. I'm just going to move my. Can I move my thing? Hang on. Let me move over here somewhere. Let me be able to see the numbers. Has that come through?
Right, Matthew, I'm going to have to go.
All right,
go on daddy duty.
Sure. All right. Have fun. Thanks for joining.
Yep. Okay, I'll speak to you later on.
Well, see it. Let me get rid of this again so I can see what you guys are saying. Okay, so I've moved the cam. You can see these numbers now. So what we were on was oh, hang on, which way around are we? Hang on, let's just get this right. So we were on 411 at the front. Okay, fine, that's right. So what we did was stiffen up the front spring. So we should expect to see this rear one, so this one at the bottom left, relatively stable, okay? The pitch will change slightly because we've stiffened up the front, so they are still connected, but obviously not in the same way. This pitch, this roll gradient, on the front left, you can see it's stiffer. It's changed its angle completely. It's changed its gradient, especially the more G's that we pull. So this is at the faster end of turning left and right. Yeah, if that makes sense. And you can see the number. So this needs to be between 0.3 and 0.4, really, this front one. So we're in our sort of sweet spot already with the tuner. We've only made one change, yeah. So the front is 0.3. You can see these numbers up here. Sorry, 0.378 now, as opposed to 0.411 minus 0.411. So we've made it more taut. So we've got some responsiveness, but we haven't lost any grip. It doesn't feel like we've lost any grip at the minute either. And we're keeping the car more stable, both in terms of how much it's rolling from side to side. This is literally what this graph is, right? So the flatter, if this was a flat line and it just read across like that, then you'd get 0 roll, which is impossible, right? But that's what it would read like. And if you were going on 2 wheels each time, it would be like this. Yeah? But we're keeping the aero more stable. So things like Eau Rouge and some of the flatter, faster corners, this is really going to help us keep that aero stable, which is great. It's a really interesting graph, so I'm just leaving it up there for a bit. You can see the rear has changed a little bit because overall we've made the car slightly stiffer, yeah? So it's changed just slightly, not a lot, but just slightly. And let me move my camera back because, or somewhat different, because, hang on, you don't need to see all this down here today, so that's not doing crazy lap times, so that's probably over there. Sorry for all the changing. This graph here is, so this is the pitch graph. So this is when you're under braking or accelerating, this is your forward to back motion of the car. So if we've stiffened the front spring, we would expect less pitch, which is what we've got, okay? So we've decreased it slightly, only by 0.01. That's absolutely fine. It's quite a big change in terms of percentages, okay? So this one changed by, what, 0.33? But because it's 3 times as big, it's sort of a similar change to 0.1. It's a similar percentage, right? You can see from the graph we've got more blue above the red, so we're tauter, okay? I'm always lowering my rear bump, so I'm always lowering my rear bump so as not to lose my rear end when releasing my brakes. Does it affect my lap time in any negative way? So when you say lowering your rear bump, are you lowering your rear bump stop rate or your bump stop range? Because they do very different things, right? So your bump stop rate, I would say if you're lowering your bump stop rate, so if you had it up at 2,500 here, the car would be super stiff at the back. You basically don't give this spring, once you hit the range, it allows that spring to get there very quickly. Okay, so if you had it lower, the spring would be able to squat down more. In dampers, okay. Oh, you bump. Okay, sorry, my bad. What were we on? 50. Lowering my rear bump is not to lose the rear end. So you're not doing anything wrong, but I would never just go, oh, okay, this is, the cars, so it's interesting when you say when you're coming off the brakes, because for me that's just always going to be a brake bias issue. So I reckon you should, before you try anything else, I would be trying to bump my brake bias forward by 0.5% or something. What car are you in, Jigger? Because if you're reducing your bump on the back, you're going to be not just affecting it when you're under braking, you're going to be affecting it when you're coming out of corners, when you're going through corners. So it's a much bigger change that you're making, whereas your problem is very isolated, if that makes sense. Does that answer your question at all? Okay, so we've changed the pitch and we've changed. Oh, well, the other thing I wanted to just compare is I know you guys love a damper histogram, so let's do the original one. Lambo most of the time. Okay, I would honestly try and fix that with brake bias. So is it just when you're coming off the brakes you're just starting to oversteer, and is it in slower corners, so like Kyle Army turn 1 or the hairpin at Suzuka or something like that, where you've got slightly, basically your car feels like it's pitching a little bit at the last moment, and you sort of, and it's going to pitch up and swing round. Is that how you're feeling? Because I get that in the Lexus into Kyle Army turn 1, and I basically just have to switch the brake bias by 0.2 or 0.4, and it's absolutely fine. But the other way you can fix that, right, is because your car's pitching too much, maybe you should try to stiffen your front spring. So it keeps the car flatter, so you don't get that effect where the back end feels like it's in the air. A couple of things to try, right? Let's look at this damper histogram then. So we'll just add in our new one, because we've stiffened that spring. Oh, interesting, actually. So on the left-hand side, it's sort of brought the overall graph in the middle down slightly, but some other areas of everywhere else has heightened slightly, and that's the same for over here. And that's what we'd expect to see, right? When you stiffen things, this graph goes up. So these numbers go up. So if we were to put our damping up, the graph would go up. It's as simple as that, right? Everyone gets fixated with this graph. I'm not going to worry about this shape. So it's almost a nice bell curve. It's not terrible, so we don't have to muck with it, really, at the minute. I'm more worried about this graph. And I don't hate that we've made this change. I think we could probably even go a little bit more. Yeah, exactly. If you're hitting the brakes, what happens when you hit the brakes is all the force shunts forward, right? So the back end of the car is almost. Think of it. It's easier to think on a bike, a pedal bike, right? If you just slam on the front brake, your rear end's going to pitch up in the air, and that's basically what you're doing because all the force is going forward, right? Yeah, so all of the above, what Mike and Samuel are saying as well. But I think the point about if you change something other than the brake bias there, your change is making effect to every situation in the car. So if you change the front spring, then it's going to be, you're going to be more stable around some of the corners, or it's easier to come out, easier to get the power down because front end of the car is stiffer, all sorts of things like that. So you've got to find the right one for you. So Samuel's saying is on the bump stop, but he's going to affect how he's turning if he's on the bump stop as well, not just under braking, right? So it's about finding the thing for that car, and that's when we're coming back to those nuances earlier, where if you're you find those things in the cars which always work. So something for your Lambo might not necessarily work for this McLaren or for the Lexus. Or is the front? Are you talking about ride height, Mike? It depends what car you're in. So the rule of thumb is to have the front as low as possible without it hitting the floor, yeah? But you've got things to take into account to that. You've got curbs, you've got bumps, you've got compression, you've got weight, so fuel or no fuel, to take into account into that. So with this McLaren, the operating window for aero is super, super narrow, okay? So if you were to draw a graph which was sort of ride height and aero efficiency, it would be a very small sort of segment, okay? Whereas if you were to draw it for, say, I don't know, the Lexus, for example, it's a different type of car, then it would be much wider. The operating window in terms of aero is much wider. So you've got this glorious range where you can adapt for things like the curbing at Imola, at the chicane, in ride height and in bump stops and in suspension. You've got like 5 different things that you can try that for. Whereas in the McLaren, you know that you're gonna, you know that you need the car to be low, so you already know that you can eliminate a couple of things. And you've only got 1 or 2 clicks worth of play in the McLaren in the front. Really needs to be under 53 most of the time, especially in the high speed tracks, because it loves being low. Okay. It's a long car, it's a low car, it generates all of its downforce because of the length of it. So you know that once you've done those 1 or 2 clicks, then you need to move on to something else. Whereas if I was in the Lexus, then I could get away with maybe 4 or 5 clicks. Does that make sense? Does that answer the question? Okay. Just got one little thing I just need to do over here. Sorry. Just 1 second. Right, okay. So, what we're going to do next. So, this feels okay. I'm not sure I want to make it too much stiffer. And the rear feels alright because we're getting some rotation. So, if we were to stiffen this rear up, it would really, we'd really get some savage rotation. That's the same if we were to lower this. So, basically, we want to make this setup as rotatey, new word, as possible, but without making it too unmanageable, let's put it that way. But I want to concentrate on the front to start with, so I want to try and get a really, really nice sort of front feeling. So opposite to the rear, if we were to lower this number, we'd get more response, because we're immediately on the bump stops, right? So that's where Sam's talking about that. You immediately get the maximum effect of the car. So I want to try and lower this from 1,000 to 500. But I want to compensate what's going to happen with that by putting this up a bit. So this is pure guesswork to start with. And you just get in and you try it. Let's have another go. Yeah. Does that answer your question, Mike, about the ride height? We can talk about it more. I'm happy to. So we should have a little bit more range now for the suspension to act, but it should get there quicker, if that makes sense. So we should, in fact, as effect, get a little bit more turning. So it might be a little bit oversteering this. That's absolutely fine. It's part of the process. As long as we know it's happening, we can tell what's going on. Then we can start to counteract it. Yeah. You can hear the car scraping a little bit through there. So with full fuel, sorry, really itchy nose. With full fuel, we're already thinking, oh, maybe we need to just raise that ride height up, and that's where different quality setups come in, right? So you can see that front end is biting more now because we've opened up that pump stop. Didn't carry particularly good speed through there. We're already up on what is a relatively decent lap, right? So what we've given it here is more natural turning. Like the maximum amount it can turn. You can see we're gaining time all over the place. Just with that one simple change. We haven't changed the springs. Basically what we've let the do is... What we've let the do? That's not a phrase, is it? What we've enabled the car to do is let those springs breathe and work properly. Yeah, we've not curbed their ability. We've opened them up. You can see we're just on the edge where you can see where I put the power down there. The front end just bit into the ground. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right, Sam. It's about finding that. So I've got a really itchy nose. I don't know why. It's about finding the balance, like in anything. Right, so getting that rotation whilst not like we've got at the minute. This is too much at the minute. Okay, so we know that already. I'm just going to do one more lap to just confirm it, because we know that this is just rotating on the front end just a little bit too much. But the back, we know the back end is still really it's not very taut. Okay, so we haven't moved that rear bump stop. It's still at 50, yeah. So it's we've got a lot of leeway in the back as well. So we don't want to overdo the front already. We don't want to tune the front just for the back. Is what I'm trying to say. Because if we make the front feel nice and then we start adjusting the back, then we've got two things to change rather than one. Well, that wasn't very good through there. So I reckon what I'm going to do off the back of this, I quite like the fact that the rate is down to 500. But I think we're going to drop the smaller number a little bit, just because we've got some leeway in the rear as well. So there, it really grips in that mid corner. You can see where it, just as soon as I put the power down, it wasn't the diff acting, it was the front just biting into the ground. You can really see there again, you can really feel it mid corner, and then when you're coming out the corner, it really wants to just continue turning. When you're off power or on power, so we know it's not the diff, right? So it doesn't matter about times at this point. Really, we know we can get 3 or 4 tenths up, but it just feels like it has the option to turn so much sharper than what we were using before. So when we changed the spring and we made it stiffer, and we lost some of that turning, now we've gained it back through other means, and that's the difficulty in setups is, and that's what I'm going to try and achieve with this series upcoming, guys. So we're going to try and do this a little bit more often, more sort of live streams on tuning, but also videos on tuning as well, so you can go back and refer to them. Yeah, how to read the graphs, what to do. We're trying to, if we lose an element of the car somewhere, we're trying to regain it back somewhere else. Let's just get over the line one more time and then need to practice this last corner anyway, because I keep missing the braking and the turning. It looks in the second half. On braking, less BS rate, bump stop rate makes the suspension work more, sucking the so you don't lock up, and hence the ABS not intervening as much. I wouldn't be so concerned with the ABS not coming in as much. Yeah, it's the old. Yeah, it's that's exactly it. It's the old balancing act. So I think I think for me this is probably better down at 3. I'm just going to quickly try it, just because I want to just. Too many people change, and I'm definitely guilty of this as well. 100% guilty, and you know, you guys, I race with Leo a lot when I'm setting up the cars. I like to, if I want to get there quickly, I change hundreds of things at once, right? But it's counterproductive. If you change one thing, give it a quick test, see how it feels. So it doesn't take that long. And if you do that, if you change one thing, then you test it. You get to know what other stuff does. You get to know that, oh, I've changed the bump stop rate. Okay, great. Now I feel what that's doing to the car. Whereas if you change the bump stop rate and the front rebound and the front suspension, and you take the click of rear aero off, you don't really know what the bump stop rate does. You can't feel what the change does to your car on the screen. What you're seeing, it doesn't. You can't select that one thing because it's a combined change, right? So just a quick out. You don't have to do a full lap. A little bit over the curve. We haven't touched damping at all, so for me this is still teetering on the edge, but I don't really want to drop it too much. I don't really want it to have it on 1 because that's quite low. I do want some, so we don't have that snap of oversteer coming out of the corner now. Well, that's not a good line through there. But it's quite nice where it just turns when we want it to turn, yeah? So through here is really the bit where we gained last time, isn't it? So that's a nice balance through there. You can see we gained a load of time on the exit there. Just didn't do anything different, just drove around the corner. It's a pure car, that. Just giving it the option to have more grip. And as we're giving it more grip, if we've got too much grip, then we can start to offset that with some response, which is a nice way to think about things. It's really easy through there. It's just nice and simple to drive now. I don't need to finish this lap. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly save this. And where are we? Mechanical. I'm just going to put this up a click. Time to do the rears. What should we do? I like the fact that we've got a pretty stiff spring on the background Spa because there's a lot of high load corners. I think it's on the edge of... Oh, so this stream discussed very helpful. Looking forward to it. Yeah, yeah. On top of their own setups. Yeah, so that's the whole point, right? And in the Discord as well. If you guys aren't in the Discord, let me just get a link. If you guys aren't in the Discord already, then get yourself in. Replace. Let's pin that. And what I'm trying to achieve with this Discord with Sean is to get as many people talking about their setups and their driving, and it's an improvement place, right? It's someone to learn, someone to get coaching, all that sort of thing. So those sort of questions where it's like, oh, I'm under braking, I'm struggling with this. Like Jigger posted in earlier, I'm struggling on under braking because when I'm coming off the brakes, my car's pitching too much, and I'm getting this over rotation. I'm struggling. Yeah, it is affecting your lap time. Okay, how do I fix that? And then bang, 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 bang. You've got 10 different people's responses for you to then go and try. Just the key things. You can't just. What I don't want to happen is it just become an advice place, and then people take for gospel that, oh, just because Matt has said this means that I'll now do that on every car. That's not how it works. It's not what I want to achieve, right? It's, oh, Matt suggested this, James has suggested this, someone else has suggested that, Dave said this, and then you've got 4 or 5 different things that kind of do the same thing, but then adjust the car in a different way somewhere else, and it's up to you to then go and decide what's best for you and your driving. That's what the aim is, anyway. So I want to lower this bump stop range. I want to make it super low, and the reason for that is, like Samuel was saying, we want as much rotation as we can get away with without it being crazy. In fact, we could maybe lower the spring, but let's try how we've got it at the minute. I quite like the stiff spring. So this is a drastic change. 50 to 30 is huge, right? And if we were to put this up to 2,500, we'd magnify that change even more. So in fact, let's do it. Let's roll out how we've got at the minute with 30 on the back, and then let's change that rear bump stop rate to 2,500. We've got 500 at the minute, and then let's do half of that, and let's change it to 2,500. Let's try and show what that does. Yeah, we can already feel it. What we should feel here is the back end is on its bump stops earlier, so then it's going to turn more quicker. So this is upping response, upping grip as well. And what we don't want to do is overdo it, so it turns too much, and that's when we start to go oversteer, mid-corner oversteer, that sort of thing, right? So the first question I go to is when someone says, oh, yeah, I'm oversteering around that corner. Okay, great. Where? Oh, just in the corner. Well, no. Where in the corner? Getting in the corner, like with Jigger's problem? In the middle of the corner, when you're off power, on power, coming out the corner, you're turning sharp, is it slow corner, is it fast corner? And this is where those diagrams, and you've all seen them, I'm sure, where it's like, if the car's over, I need to stop going up that curve so early. If the car's oversteering, then you need to do this. You need to make your own one, and it needs to be specific, because oversteer can happen in many, many different ways, and it is, I think it's probably my least favourite thing is when someone asks me, I'm oversteering, what do I do? How long's a piece of string? How much time have you got? Because we could be here all week. You see there, that initial turn in, really sharp, but the rear spring couldn't deal with it. So we need to make it cool here. And we'll do the test first where we put that rear bump stop rate all the way up, like. We can already see it's turning really nicely through here though. I'm barely turning the wheel there. You can see it had an opposite lock and it's still going. Barely turning the wheel and it's getting that slide on. So we know it's a bit too extreme at the minute, but we need to make it cool, whether it's the rate, the range, or the spring, or the anti-roll bar. But I would leave the anti-roll bar still last. We've got the middle of the road at the minute, like 4 and 4 or something like that. So let's... Oops, I just put the ABS down a bit. So we know how that looked. We know how that felt. Let's just whack this up to 2,500 just to make a point, right? So I'm expecting this just to be so stiff on the back that it's almost going to be uncontrollable, right? We may have found inadvertently, a bit of a tuning hack on the McLaren, but I doubt it. I doubt it. Spin inbound, yeah, you're right. Oh, if I could brake for the first corner, would be nice. You know what? It didn't rotate too crazy through there. Let's see what we're like for the bridge. Not too bad. It's the next section, which is going to be the one where you're changing direction quickly. Up the Kemmel straight. Real long. You know what? It doesn't. Well, okay, yeah. I started to say, you know what? This doesn't feel too bad, but then just to that phase, kind of preempt. I started saying it too early, really, because I should have gone around a whole corner. Just in that phase coming out of the corner, just around here. There again. As you start to get towards full power, it just loses that. Again, there. It just loses that subtle compliance, I guess would be the word I'd use, because it's super taut. So if you think of that number, that actually feels really nice around there. The higher number, the one that's 500, 2,500, the one we've just changed. If you think about that as how much, actually, you know, it doesn't feel too bad. It's just on that exit phase of the corner, it's quite taut. If you think about that as how much the car squats down when you're coming out of the corner, that's how I think about it anyway. To put it into sort of real terms, right? So if you two were to make this 300, the car can squat down and get some real traction out of slower corners. Where if it's super high, then it's going to be great, like we saw round. Completely forgotten the name. Is it Pill 1? Completely forgot the name of the corner. The triple left. Yeah, exactly, Sam. So I reckon we weren't too far away with what we had originally. You know, I reckon we could probably get away with this actually, and let's try and lower it a bit more. Oh, not even. So we just need to keep going through and seeing how this feels. We could look at it in RST if we wanted to look at it. I'm just thinking about what the best one to do for you is. So let's untick these. Hang on. So this was what we originally had. This is what we've got now. Is it going to do it? Oh, it's over here. Oh. Why has that only gone over there? Or maybe this one's better to do. I'll start again. I'll need to do a couple of full laps for you. Let's try again. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Samuel, exactly. Do you want to get on the... Do you want to come on next time? We'll do one together. I think that would be quite cool, actually. Do like a guest tuning appearance. I'm up for that. Let's make it happen. Okay, so what we've done is we've made the rear rotate a little bit more. But, well, we made the bump stop rotate more, but we've offset it a little bit. So like everything, trying to get that traction out of these slower corners, but we're trying to keep that rotation for the faster ones using the bump stop. And don't get on that curve too much. Ooh. Just do it. Let's make it happen. Don't know when it's going to be, but let's make it happen. Let's see what this feels like. Need to stop going on this curve too hard like that. Need to, but not too much. So it feels proper on edge, but it feels really lively. Look at that. So I reckon we might have gone just a touch too far. But I've got one more thing that I want to try. Yeah, so it's definitely rotating more. Okay, I've got one more thing that I want to try that I hope doesn't ruin what we've got already, but we can always change it back, is I want to put this down. Because then it's going to give it just that little bit more room to manoeuvre the rear suspension. It's a little bit softer. It's going to take a little bit longer before it starts to cut in and oversteer like it's doing, coming out of corners. So we're going to keep that rotation, but hopefully it gives it a little bit more option for some grip rather than response. Just give it a quick go. That almost felt too wallowy there coming out of there, even in the slower corner. So I'm expecting this change not to be the one, but you never know. Super itchy nose door. Doesn't feel terrible at all. That was an awful line through there, and we're still not bad. So it's a little bit late on the brakes. Just compensate. You can see with that change, we don't have that crazy snap of oversteer. So we've made the car turn in other ways, and we've given it grip in other ways. So again, trade-off response versus grip. I'm going to say this like 200 times today, I reckon. Doesn't feel bad through there either. We've got some good traction. So now that we've lowered that rear spring and it doesn't feel bad, what it gives us is the option to make the changes that we've just done a little bit more extreme. So we can try and get even more rotation, right? Because it's given us some rear stability. Let's just go through the final corner and get a lap in, because we haven't done a full lap. You can see we're in and around our time still, and we're still not concentrating on times, and I'm not really paying attention, but it's all about feel and checking it in the data. We'll check it. So that, interestingly, I lost some time. We need to check our pitch and roll gradients again, remember, because we've changed the suspension. Actually, it felt quite good through there. We didn't get that snap oversteer. Yeah, Mike, let's do it. Make it happen. Just let me know. I'm pretty busy, but I can make stuff happen. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. I'm definitely up for learning stuff, because I definitely don't know everything. Like, I am pretty new still. I don't know if I prefer the stiff spring or not. I'm hoping someone can help me out here. I don't know whether I prefer the stiff spring. I think I might do. Whoa, we got that kick still. Whoop. Floor it and hope. Okay, Hey Cobra, how you doing? I think I prefer this rear spring like this. And I think we're going to drop this down so we can squat a little bit more. And I think 30 was a bit too low. Ooh, we don't want 65. So let's just try that real quick. How you doing, Cobra? How's your foot? Tell me everything about your life, what you've been doing. We're obviously at Spa, just trying to tune this McLaren. I don't know whether I want to go softer. I'm just trying to get. Oh boy, missed the first one. I'll just try it again and see how it feels, because I've forgotten how it felt. Yeah. Well, it's easier to make a setup fast and then curve the tyre wear than it is to make a car that's super easy on its tyres go faster, right? I mean, the rear spring just feels great. Still a little bit snappy there. But we did lose... I'm torn. It feels more natural with the spring like this. But we'll try it. We'll try it. How soft should we go, Mike? How soft do we want to make it? Oh, it just feels so good around there. So easy. Yeah, we'll conquer tyre wear. There's an easy couple of fixes of tyre wear right in the camber and stuff. Just getting a little bit more stable a lot of the time. It's just getting a nice balanced car and then not abusing the camber on this game seems to be the trick for tyre wear. For me anyway, I don't know if anyone else has got anything. Just rotated really nicely through there and we didn't lose a whole load on traction. Yeah. There's only two of them, and it already feels pretty bitey. So we're starting to creep towards 16s. Oh, a bit too much. I think it already feels like it bites really nicely, which is why I'm nervous about it, because around those fast, it feels so much nicer with this rear spring like this through the faster corners. But I know we can do it through other means, so let's try it. I'll do this lap. Like round here, it just feels like it changes direction really nicely. I'm cloudy preset at 11 AM or something at the minute. Oh, still got that snap of oversteer. It's not bad, but. So I reckon if I actually sat down and did some laps on it, we'd really comfortably be in the 16s. So let's slide through there. Ooh, still got that rotation. Lost a fair bit through there, didn't we? So, good morning, Cody. How you doing? So, whatever we've done, we've definitely made it a bit too extreme. So, let's do what you're saying. Let's cut this down. Let's raise this anti-roll bar up. So, we're still getting that traction because we've... In fact, I might even do this. I might even put it down even more. And we've got this front spring to still... yeah, I'm not too bad. Corey. Let's, we put that rear, yeah, that should be enough. So what we're doing here is we've got, like Mike's saying, we're getting more traction out of the corners because the rear spring is allowing us the car to squat down even further. But we're offsetting that lateral grip, that sideways grip with the rear anti-roll bar. Let's see what happens. I think I'll put it up too. Yeah, it's all red pretty quick there. Did I change both sides? I think I did. We'll find out in a minute. So hopefully we get a bit more traction coming out of there. Yeah? Is it not good, is it? This is the first time round Spa in the McLaren for me, and it will be the first time round Laguna in it as well. So. Whoa, okay, we've got... I just think this is too low. I still think this is too low. I think we should be up here somewhere. Maybe we could even... Let's do this the other way as well. I know I said not to do this, but let's stiffen that front spring up even more. Let's just try it. Because we want that rotation, we just need to offset it. We can have a look at our pitch and our gradients in a minute as well. Yeah, I know, Samuel. I just wanted to make it quicker. Oh, okay, so that didn't like that particularly well. Let's keep going. Might have just been me. Pretty shit line. Still up though, so we found an inherent change, which is, whoa, getting if we can get this in. Pretty bad lap so far, but we're still up somehow. Well, we were like 4/10 up as well, I mean, so it's pretty bad. Actually, having this front spring, this taut on the rear is not terrible. I reckon we've got a better like natural base from what Mike said to do, which is good. I want to try and do a semi-representative lap next time. We're not getting that crazy rotation through there now, which is nice. We just didn't turn in very well, so I think next lap we're going to be better. I'll keep getting on this curve, man. So let's see if we can actually put something together after this. Three changes, four changes at once? Not bad. It's much better under braking with that stiffer front spring around here into the final chicane. Right, let's try and put something together. Bit of a slide coming out there. Hey Des, it's going good, mate. I reckon we could break into the 16s. We were like 4 and a bit tenths up a minute ago. Just trying different stuff. Okay, so it pushes slightly around there now. Just you can see it sort of trying to grip, edging in, but it's livable. If that makes it better through the rest of the track and it's livable through our route, it's absolutely fine. Too early on here again. Jesus. Put together a lap, he says. It's almost too... I don't know how to describe it. It's too... I don't know, I feel like I'll need to push it more now. It's not as natural having that front spring this high or the rear spring that low. I think it was just a nicer balance beforehand. Let's put the front spring down again. Let's do one more lap because we haven't really been able to drive very well so far. And then we'll have a look at it. sort of times you do around here, Cody? Do you know? This is a bit late. Oh, real bad. Real bad. Real bad. Not good. Still up, but we've been 3 full tenths up at this point before. Feeling this as much. It doesn't feel bad. Finally did that corner, okay. I just think the rear spring is just so key around there. We just need to spend a bit of time on this getting it right. Especially if I could break into the funnels. I think we need this higher. I think we need it higher. It's the only change I'm going to make, I promise. And then let's do a couple of laps and then let's look at the graphs again, because we haven't looked at them for a little while. Yeah, I know it's frustrating going back and forth, but this is what it is, right? This is why tuning takes a long time. This is why people pay for it. So this is just part of the process. Hopefully this gives you an idea of how difficult it is to, or how much time is spent doing one of these to get it right. I think we should be in the 16th fairly soon if I can actually hook up on that one. Whoa, okay. It's some mental bump through there which we haven't hit before. Let's ignore that this lap, but okay, you'll be alright. Easy 18s for you, I reckon. Too early again. Yeah, it just has that really nice natural rotation with that rear spring on 17. Don't know how I feel. Whoa. Oh boy. Okay. Still really twitchy. I don't know how I feel about this front spring being stiffer. Let's see if we can get that issue on our rouge again. But it's still over rotating a bit. Yeah, man, keep going, smash the game, get practicing. I think we talked about it before, didn't we? Get some like targeted time on the game, targeted practice. We'll see if we hit this mental bump through here, and if we did, then we've definitely done something wrong. Good. Okay. Right, come on, let's do that. Touch wide.
He's trying to stay on the track.
I think the lower front spring is the way. I think. said that, it's still rotating. Oh boy. I need to stop trying to talk while I'm trying to settle out. Right? That's the whole point of the stream, though. Maybe I should just get better. My problem is I start learning a new track, start messing with the setup before I can actually drop. Yeah, you need to be able to get to a point on the track where you know that it's then the setup that's making the effect, right? Rather than you learning the track and getting used to it. So when we first set out on this journey, I've never driven the McLaren before this morning on the Spa. Okay, so we spent a good 20-25 minutes just getting used to things, which is. I can get why it's frustrating and you feel like you're not making progress, but then you know that you're going to be making progress on the right thing. Right, let's get it out. My feet are cold as well. Wide again, come on, man. I'm really sorry, guys. I'm struggling to hook up something here, which is frustrating for me at the minute. Yeah, so I mean, RST has that already. There's a pack that you can buy, which is Neil's setups, and well, some of his setups, but reference laps for him is data for basically every track and car he's just working through at the minute. So that definitely is there already. The issue is it's very dependent on temperature and that sort of thing. But I'll start saving mine more and more and then post them up. Yeah, I know, 100% agree. I'll because I'm still going to record all the laps for this McLaren for each of the tracks. So I'll try and save them, and I'll do a data dump as well. Really not a great line through there, but we're still up. I'm not unhappy at the springs at the minute, but I think the softer one, but then we're probably going to rotate too much, so I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place at the minute. It's rotating quite nicely at the minute. Yeah, it's a bit limited, especially the new bit. Yeah, I mean, it's just time, right? It takes so long to go through and get a decent, like, setup and, oh boy, get off the curb, man. Setup and time and data and stuff, which is representative. You're not going to throw you off your game because you're doing some crazy stuff. Like, it's, this is not a good line through here, man. It takes a bit of time to get through them, right? If you were to sit down and hot lap every track, 19 tracks, if it took you an hour each one, it's a whole day, right? Right, let's do one more lap, and then we'll have another look at RST, because we haven't done that for. It's not feeling terrible, let's put it that way. I just think I'm getting a little bit too much rotation coming out of a couple of corners. I just need to conquer it. We just need to spend a bit of time first before we make some rash decisions. Turning really nicely around there. A bit too much rotation there. This is easy 16s if we spend some time. But that's not the idea, right? We're getting a comfortable setup rather than chasing the lap time even now. So it's good to have a benchmarker though. See if we can actually do the last corner as well. Nope. Jesus, Matt. Okay, a decent lap for once. Okay, well we know that should have been 0.2 or 1. So, okay, cool, right, let's go back. Let's have a gander at this, because we haven't looked at this a while. So let's, in fact, let's keep, what was it, 18.3 or something we did, or 17, let's keep this lap right back here. Let's click off these. And let's go down and let's select the one we've just done. And let's have a look at the things that we've done so far, okay? So let's recap on our, ooh, if this wants to, so we take the end of the camel straight, roughly here. We have a look at what our speed is. So we're going a little bit faster, although these do fluctuate, right? It should be roughly the same on their sort of journey of. So we're getting slightly faster. Come on, there we go. Marginally faster. Our centre of pressure is actually pretty high. It's pretty high. We do need to drop. I'm sure we didn't have it that high before. Let's pick one of these laps back here to compare with. Oh, we didn't. We had it quite a lot lower. So that's interesting. So it's changed even though we... Oh, I know what we've done. We forgot to change the car params in here. So because we changed the suspension in here and the rear only roll rate. Oh, we didn't even do it in the first place. I'm sorry, boys. I'm sorry. Number of clicks 11, value 4, value 5. Sorry, we forgot to do this as well, and this is going to skew some stuff. And we've changed this to 15. What is it? Someone remind me. 15.6 is it? Oh, 17,021. Okay, so 17. And 2100. Whoops. And we've got the rider. Whoa. Okay, thought that would just go one click down. And we're 68, aren't we, on the back? Are we? 69. That's going to skew that one a little bit. Sorry, forgot to change that, guys. Just one thing that kind of annoys me a little bit with RST is how you have to keep doing that, but that's fine. Oh, where's it gone? Okay, so this is kind of not usable, that data, but you can see we've got roughly the same pitch, and we're still within our magic sort of zone, which is nice. Pitch grain. So I'm happy with this so far. I'm happily happy with how we're getting on. Okay. So we know we can get 16s. I'm just going to get a quick drink. I'll be back in 30 seconds, guys. Cool. So, I'm happy with. All right, Samuel. See ya. Thanks for that. I'm happy with how we're doing. So, what haven't we done on our set? Okay, so we've gone through aero. We've gone through a little of this. We haven't played with this front anti-roll bar too much, and I am nervous to do so. I think we're still getting a bit too much rotation. Hey, Delta. Oh, wicked. That's awesome. I mean, that's pretty great. Good stuff, Delta. Good stuff. Or Boxer. Delta Boxer. Sorry. That's great. Good to hear. That's why the channel was set up in the first place, right? Is to get improving, and this is what we're doing today, learning about tuning, all that sort of thing, right? So I reckon we've still got that bit of extra rotation coming out of corners, which is causing us a bit of frustration, okay? And I think I'm going to trade off a little bit of grip for some response. And are you on ACC as well, are you, Boxer? I'm going to just try this anti-roll bar. Oh, that's cool. Nice. This anti-roll bar just slightly higher because I just want that initial turn and then it to fade away a little bit. At the minute we've got some serious response going on, but it might be the way. We haven't even touched the bump damping, so I'm just going to try it. I'm just going to give it one try. I think we'll put it on 8. And then see how it feels. Because a lot of people get bogged down in how stuff looks on the data, but the point I'm trying to get across is RST and Motec are super helpful. Don't get me wrong, but if you get bogged down in the data and you create a car which is objectively fast, it's going to be super slow. I almost guarantee it. Ooh, try not to take that ball. What a terrible first corner. If you try and make something which is better for you and better objectively in the graph, you're endlessly going to be more comfortable. That front anti-roll great through there. Just remember it was on 4 before. Okay, so it'll be a sliding scale. We've just sort of tried something here. Yeah, 100%. I'd love to upgrade, mate, but I've just got other shit to spend money on at the minute. I can be good enough with this G29 or G920 it is, but this response feels good through there. It turns really quickly, and we don't seem to be losing too much grip. So actually, it's flattened the car out nicely through there, allowing us to get back slightly quicker over to the left right hand side. Yeah, I think this is the play with that slightly stiffer front anti-roll. So when we were talking about response versus grip earlier, the other one had too much grip, right? So it was continuing to turn. That was my bad through there. Oh, there was an update yesterday, wasn't there? Okay. It was continuing to turn too much around corners like this, whereas now we've got that initial turn in. Right, it's still doing it a little bit, but it's not too bad coming out, okay? I kind of may do that on purpose there a little bit. So we've got that. I'm trying to demonstrate that initial turn in that we've got, okay? So it feels quite nice. And in fact, I reckon we could get away with that rear end to roll down as well. Yeah, direct drives are silly money, like crazy money. I couldn't. It's tough, right? I'd love to spend $2.5 grand on a direct drive wheel and low tail pedals and let's get through there. And a full rig and all that sort of thing. So I'm just playing on the desk. I've just got the basic G920 pedals. It's okay. I could be fast enough with it, right? It's I'm not super slow. I definitely feel like I'm missing a bit, and I'm missing a bit of immersion. But at the same time, I've got other stuff to spend on. If I was to do it properly, and it would cost $2.5 grand or whatever. But I think for me, there's better decisions to be making on live right now. Basically, super slow for there. We didn't get in the groove. Fairly confident times with the group. Yeah, I mean, they probably would a bit, right? car parameters changed a lot. How do you mean by that? I guess we could do the update live and see what's changed. The unboxing of the update. I know there was an update sort of 5 or 6 days ago, which is what we're using with the comparisons, right? Okay, so that feels much more stable through there. Not giving away too much grip, which is nice. In fact, I think it's actually just it's a good thing that we've given up that grip and traded it for response. Maybe not round here. This is probably the only corner where it's going to struggle a bit more. Okay, so I reckon we drop it by 1 because it's struggled a bit through there, but the rest of the track it feels okay, to be honest. That's where having that stiffer rear spring is doing us wonders through there. We just need to offset it again, like I was saying earlier. So, yeah, I reckon we drop the front spring, the front anti-roll bar by a click or 2 still. Hey, Kuno, how you doing, buddy? You don't need to spend that to get a good setup. Well, no, I was talking about like, well, even if you're, if you get like a Fanatec CSL stuff, it's like 900 quid, isn't it, for the bass, the pedals, and the rim. And then if you buy a rig, it's what, 500 quid. I probably want another screen because I have to work on this desk as well, so I can't really get away with having the rig set up where I work. So I'd have to get another screen as well. So we're already at what, 1,600 quid. And then obviously if you were to get better stuff like direct drive, then it's just outrageously expensive. It's just just can't justify it at the minute, you know. Time we lost last lap from that. Belt drive's fantastic, good idea. I've got the stuff and can't get under 220. Just keep going, mate, to get some targeted practice in, yeah? Look at some laps, observe what we're doing here today, see if you're doing anything different. There's track guides, there's, you know, spend some time learning what's making you go slower around Spa, if that makes sense. Too early here. Plant it in hope. Just a bit of the time. Still up. Yeah, it's just lacking a little bit of grip in that turn. That just not the turning phase, but just that last bit of the turning phase. It's just lacking a little bit of grip for me. We've traded off too much turning, too much response with grip here. Oh, that's me. Doesn't feel bad though. We're getting closer, guys. We're getting closer. I would disagree with you, Boxer, and I would say that a lot of time can be gained from planting the throttle and adjusting what's happening with the steering rather than keeping a constant steering and adjusting the throttle. So out here, I can floor the throttle and then straighten up my steering nice and smooth, rather than being, so you're getting that acceleration going and then adjusting with the steering. So you're trying to get the car straight as possible, rather than getting the car, keeping the car turning and then kind of mediocring throttle, right? So you're getting that acceleration. It's all about finding the traction with the steering. Let's just do one more and then we'll have a look. Age is against you. How old are you, buddy, if you don't mind me asking? I reckon if you can find something that works for you, I reckon it's just time. The thing is, well, people always say, oh, how do you improve, right? Well, are you doing the same things each time? Are you trying different lines? Are you trying to floor the throttle, adjust it with the steering like we've just been talking about? Or are you just always trying to get a nice smooth throttle? You know, it's trying different things and it's settling down and trying to concentrate. Maybe it'd be good for you to go through someone's data as well. Yeah, we just need a bit more grip through there. Just slightly more grip. I'm not talking a lot, I think one click. 65, I mean, mate, if you're doing what was it, 220s you said, or was it you said it was 220s? Sorry, it's difficult to concentrate and drive and chat at the same time. I'm sure you're not too far off at all. Otherwise.
He's trying to stay on the track.
I'm sure you're not doing too bad at all for 65, Peter. And it's awesome that you're doing this. I love it that you at 65 getting involved in sim racing. And are you doing any leagues, or are you just racing rounds off on daily races, or what's are you getting involved in any of that? Okay, so we're 17.2 still. I'm really losing my voice, guys. I'm sorry. Yeah, well, Delta Boxer makes a fantastic point. As long as you're enjoying, right? People are faster than me for sure. But I love it. I love just playing on this wheel, so it's absolutely fine. I think it's learning setups for my ability. Yeah, I think I would suggest learning some tricks to make things slightly more stable, like stiffening the front rebound or front springs or that sort of thing. Okay, just to give you that little bit of comfortable margin. So I mean, absolutely awesome. Right, let's compare these two. Oh, we've got another lap selected somewhere up here. So we're pretty much the same gradients as we were earlier. In fact, we've actually curved this front anti-roll. Hang on, let me get it the right way around, guys. So that original 17.6 that we did. So we've actually got slightly less front roll gradient, so we're stiffer at the front, so we've got more tautness in the front. Oh, let me just get this right for you. I don't know what I've done here. Oh boy. Yeah, it's something a bit different, isn't it? I thought we'd. Yeah, Mike, I can. Give me a few. I'll do it after stream if that's all right. We'll get. I haven't done any dampers or anything like that, and we'll give it a go. We've got a little less tautness on the back, so it's giving us that bit more traction. And the pitch is the same. It's roughly the same. Okay, so we're going to do what everyone loves doing now. Oh, I've clicked on the wrong one, and we're going to look at some damper histograms. The best of bits for sim grid yesterday. Split 2, qualified 8, third and 20 minutes. Ah, what happened, Guino? What happened? Oops. Okay, so these don't look terrible. I think we just need to bring the rear damping up a little bit. So we need a bit more bump. So I'd be. I don't know how to say what I want to say at the minute. I don't think we really need all of this fast bump. Let's put it that way. I like just making these a little bit even, and then just seeing where we go from there. 26-14. That rebound's super low. I want it up a bit, just as a starting point. Let's put them all on the same, right? I haven't done this before. I want to try it. Get everything on the same. These rears are basically the same. And then let's see how the car acts. Ah, yeah. I mean, anxiety is just experience, right? And knowing the track. All right, Peter. Good stuff. Thanks for joining in. See you soon. As long as you know the track, you know where your braking points are. You know, some people talk about getting sort of quivery foot or whatever you want to call it. Well, I think the main thing on these sorts of games is just hitting your braking points, and then the rest of the corner sort of follows quite nicely. If you can get your braking points consistent, then it's you're absolutely fine. Like, Mike, can you just message me on Discord? I'll send the file over to you if you want straight away. You just save me finding you while I'm driving. So let's just drive around and see what our damper histogram look like. So I don't think we needed that really high, fast rebound that we got. Let's just get a nice even playing field and then we'll go from there. I don't want to spend too much time talking about dampers because everyone and their uncle talks about dampers, and I will do a video on it at some point. Hit the curb. Sorry, I didn't have time to hit the curb. Turn 2, just pull faster. Right. Well, concentration's the thing, right? I've done a couple of track days. Not really too much though. Driven an M4 and a single seater around Brands Hatch. I've done a load of karting, but not I haven't ragged like a McLaren round Spa for recent. So even from making these a bit more neutral, it's quite tall. Oh right. Oh, how come you sold it? What have you got instead? And whether you stay in the chat or not depends on your. No, I'm joking. What have you got instead, Watson? Sideways for 100 meters. This doesn't feel too shabby actually. I know we just put them all in the middle, but it doesn't feel bad at the minute. 26 got damage. Yeah, that, like you say, that's a concentration thing, right? And that comes when you're used to doing the longer races, yeah, and being under pressure. I think what people forget is they can do an hour stint in practice and be absolutely fine. Then once pressure starts to kick in, you start getting a bit excited, and that's when you need to go, well, okay, let's just bring it down a notch, and let's not get carried away, and let's just keep going. Like, let's just hit our braking points and let's settle down a bit. Oh, nice. I mean, that's awesome, Boxer. I'm pretty jealous. I've got an M140i at the minute, which is pretty fun and enough for me. But definitely don't need anything faster because I will kill myself. It's too fast for the UK roads already. Like, it's too fast. I imagine you find that with your 911 round. It just, there's nowhere to use it unless you're going onto a dual carriageway, right? So we'll just do a couple of reference laps just to get these dampers going, although I don't feel bad at the minute, even though we just put them all on even. I don't think we're going to need fast rebound, which is super high, like we had just then. I think for my initial, obviously we'll look at the graph, but for my initial readings, I think potentially I want to up the rear and front rebound just to get that little bit more response. Yeah, 450 brake. I think the M140i is 340, but they dyno at a 360-ish, so I'm not too far behind, but obviously that thing's a monster, right? Actually, this is feeling really stable in a good way, but not... Oh, that was not good. Not uncompromised. Yeah, it's basically the same car, right? But the 235i's and the 135i's had the N55 engine. Still a 3-litre inline-6, but it's they updated it for the B58 engine, which then has spawned the new S58, which is in the new M3 and 4, right? But it's just slightly different engine, sounds slightly different. Yeah, I mean that's outrageously fast. Just do half an hour more, sorry. I just wasn't really concentrating on what I was doing. And as we keep saying, half of this is feel, some of it's later. Yeah, it is in the Supra, yeah, and all the new like 340i's and all that sort of thing. A load of people say that they prefer the sound of the M55, but I really like the sound of my car. It's just purrs away. It's that typical BMW 6-cylinder sound. Okay, so I definitely think we need a bit more rebound, but it's not feeling terrible. Feeling nice and neutral, which is quite pleasant. Whoop. Whoop. Okay, let's go there. Yeah, well that S, it's, what's the old M3 and the engine which is in the M2 and M2 comps? Is it the S50? It would be the S55, wouldn't it? Or was it? I can't remember what they called it. I can't remember what the engine name was, but yeah, mine's got a PPF filter, which I'll be getting rid of pretty quickly. Let's put it that way. I've had my car for 2.5 years, and I'm ready to get rid of the filter. Hang on, let me just save this quick. And just get this across. Give me 1 second. What track are we doing all day? Spa. Oops, just cancelled it rather than. Right, sorry, just was doing something. Yeah, pretty nuts. Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a crazy car. Is that with the 4-litre? I really want a Cayman GT4. I can't. Yeah, you can't. You've already got a 911, mate. You're pretty going all right. I'd really love a Cayman. I considered a Cayman when I got my 140i, but it was just that at the time it was that little bit too much and step up in payment, so I couldn't. Same thing, I couldn't justify it at all. My issue with this Cayman GT4 is it seems like everyone's moaning that the gears are too long, and like you can go like 95 miles an hour in second gear, which doesn't really appeal to me. But I haven't driven one, so I can't comment per se. Right, let's see what we got here. So this is our middle line, so we're definitely a bit bump. Well, on the back we're definitely a bit bump heavy. Is it bump? Is it that way around? Can't remember. I don't even look at these that often. Let's give some rear rebound then and see what happens. I think it's that way around. I could be wrong. I can't remember. I mean, I just love the Cayman platform, right? I just think it's, for me, I don't, if you're buying one of those cars, like I would, I don't know if you've got kids or anything like that, Boxer, but I bet you didn't buy your 911 because it's got back seats, right? Yeah, it is a lot of money, yeah. I'm tempted to buy one of those 986, is it? Or is it 986 Caymans from terrible first corner. Yeah, so you don't need the back seat sitting on 911, do you? I haven't driven one. I've been in a couple. I'd be tempted to look at you making me want a Cayman. Yeah, didn't they have like a fuel pressure thing, like fuel injector problem, or am I making it up? I can't remember. Whoa, okay. It's a little bit more responsive through there. 15k bill. Oh, damn. That's a scrap, depending on how old it was, right? White. Oh, right, okay. I mean, that is... Let's start this lap again, shall we? That's not ideal. That's not what you want, is it? Let's be honest. Right, let's complete this lap so we get some readings on the old dampers. Yeah. I don't know how much an older one is, like a 2010 one or something like that. I'd be interested in having a look, but I don't. Saving for saving for another house and that sort of thing. So I just can't justify it, does it? Oh wow, that's frustrating. Why could I? This corner today. Whoa, okay. Whoa. You know what I said about completing that lap? Right, no talking for a tiny bit. Alton Parking GT3, how much fuel you got on Quino? I think you'll probably be, it's definitely 33s and 32s. I think in qualifying, you're definitely 32s, especially in that temperature. I have a feeling when I did Des's Aston out there, I think I was 34.0, and that was sort of 30 odd degrees and 50 litres of fuel. Gives you an idea. No idea what the Aston's like around there though, in terms of how good it is. I'm pretty sure Chaswell's got like a 31.9 in hot lap or something like that. I don't know what the temperatures were on that, but we haven't done ourselves any favours with changing the damping so much, have we? I think yeah, let me know how much fuel you've got. Cut that more. Got this probably a bit too high. Let me change this responsiveness to. $20 litres. Yeah, I think it's not a terrible time. Let's put it that way. You know, that's what you're aiming for, right? I think it's probably 32s that you want to be eventually getting into, though, yeah? A bit wide. Still loads more speed to carry through that first right-hander in this section. Somehow we're up, I've no idea how, because this has been pretty average. Hang on, I'll read it, I'll get on the straight mate and then have shot it. Spanner. Yeah, so the static ride height is when you're sat on the ground. So if we, let's go, hang on, I'll show you quick. So when you, did we do it this lap or we didn't, did we? Hang on. Oops. Oh, why do we not have any data for this one? Well, maybe it'd be on the very first one, right? Come on, give me some data. So, but, do you know how to do it? I think I did a video on it. Don't know why I don't. Oh, it's because we've got this lap selected as well. Oh, we're over here. That's why. So when you were really super low speed, you can look at the ride height. Don't know what I'm doing at the minute, mate. Sorry. Okay. And see what the static ride height is. Is it this one or is it downforce efficiency we need to be in? Ooh, oh no, it was ride height. So you can look at what the actual ride height is when you're just sat still. So you get the game ride height. Whoops. What we're doing. So this is the number that you plug into here, and then the static height is whatever the car is sitting on the actual ground when you're not doing any speed, right? Can't remember where it is, if I'm honest, mate. I can't remember. Sorry. Next one. Let's get this lap. Yeah, I mean, Bokit is an animal, man. I don't play Forza anymore. No, I haven't done it for a little while. Okay, so we've made those rears look much better. In fact, that's pretty looking okay. Let's look at the front. We need to do the same. We need to put some rebound on the front, I think, and then we'll be pretty sorted. So we're too low on the rebound here. In fact, we've got this big drop off here. In fact, I might just increase the rear bump and rebound here, and then put some rebound on the front. Maybe not that much. Guys, I'll be back in 1 second. Just give me 30 seconds, okay? I'll be back then. Right, I'm back. Yeah, Bokit is an animal. Let's make this happen. So, oh, you know what? Actually, before we do this, I want to just check what sort of times we should be getting near. Give me 1 second. I just want to have a look at this document that I've got, which I'm unfortunately not going to share with you guys because I didn't make it. And we are at Spa-Francorchamps. Okay, so they've got the McLaren 16.9. Okay, so we're not far off. I reckon we could be getting 16.9. Yeah, I know, Bokit. I mean, I'm in TPR. In fact, I basically manage TPR, right? So we were the ones who sort of recruited him in. He is fantastic. He is the next talent along with Lage. Like, Lage is the old master, right? And Bokit is the new pretender. He's very good. I know Bokit very well. Let's see how this feels. Yeah, so over the last 5 years, mate, we as TPR and Sauber and all that sort of thing have travelled around the world. So we've been to Seattle, LA, New York, Le Mans, Mexico City, all that sort of thing. And there's always basically there's like £100,000 prize pool or £200,000 prize pool, which is split between the top people, right? So I guess over the last few years, won a fair bit of money from it. Not like outrageous, not like living money, but some nice pocket money. Yeah. You say that's the dream, but actually the reason I don't play Forza anymore is because doing those competitions and that sort of thing took away the fun of playing the game. So they always say like, make your job something you love, but actually I hated playing when it became a job. Yeah, it was, but it was a couple of years ago now, mate, so it's spent on other things. Not spent on a house, if I'm being brutally honest. Oh, we just need that little bit more turn there. Feels nice though. Much more stable whenever we start to adjust the dampers. We've got a little bit of more rebound in there. We haven't lost any of the speed. It's starting to feel good. Yeah, exactly. It does become a grind. And you start competing against people who have no jobs and a lot more time than you, and it becomes a demoralising experience, right? Although I was still able to compete, the fact that I was working all day, coming home, trying to play, and I've got another half as well, and it's just, there's all sorts of extra pressures. It's just not worth it in the end, so I stopped and decided to do things for fun like this. Yeah, so it's much more effective. Right, let's do one more. Terrible first quarter, man. I reckon now that we've got the dampers in, we're going to start talking about the next phase, which is the final phase of the setup, which is the camber and the toe and that sort of thing. I think for long, it's actually feeling fine at the minute, but I think I want to just slightly more turn in, so we can look at the front toe and talk about what that does. But the front toe gives you a bit more response, rear toe gives you, well, sorry, okay, let me put this way, making the number more negative gives you more turn in, more response, but there's trade-offs, right? And more positive on the rear gives you a bit more stability as I go really wide. So I think we can actually, it's not feeling terrible, and it's, oh boy. Let's do it now, shall we? Let's look at those damping histograms. So, okay, let's look in, we're still down on this side though. Put the bump up, so we need to put that rebound up even more, man. Is it rebound or is it bump on that side? Let's do the bump, and then let's do, wait, what did it say? Do the bump a little bit more. So I'll make it the same. So I always rush this, go too quickly. 26, 26. I reckon we might just need a touch more. Maybe we don't actually need quite as much, man. Because we've got quite a high... Maybe these need to come up slightly. Yeah, exactly. It's just... you don't have the time. Like, it's just not worth it. Unless you're going to earn money, which is going to change your life for a minute. It's not worth it at all. So yeah, after this, guys, after we've quickly done this damping, this damper setup, then we can talk about toe and the final sort of phase of adjustment in the setup. Like it's taken its time. I don't know how long we've been on for, but it's a little while, and hopefully that gives you an idea of how long it actually takes to do one of these setups from scratch. So new car, new track, not new track, but I've never driven the McLaren on this track before, taking that aggressive preset and turning it into something which is actually worthwhile driving, right? And we made quick gains because we were in sort of mid-18s to start with, and as soon as we got used to the car, we were sort of high 17s, and we dropped 3 or 4 tenths straight away. And now this is the time which is difficult, and a lot of people give up on, because this car is good enough, right? I quite happily go and drive this car in the league, but I want to make this really great for you guys. So I think I'm really struggling with that corner today. Really great. So this is the time where it takes a lot of effort to get those final couple of tenths, which is really the difference between an okay setup and a really great one. Bokit's at uni, mate. So he's... I wouldn't class anyone in Forza as a full-time sim racer because there aren't any competitions at the minute, yeah? If they say they are, they're just unemployed. So Bokit's at uni. I can't remember what he's doing, but... yeah, no worries. It's good. Ooh. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. This feels good, the damping. So let's pop up another lap after this as well, because we just need to get a bit of concentration in. Yeah, I'm almost there. Right, okay, I think we're making some gains. I know the tide's not quite there, but we're driving around for everyone now, and we start to lose a bit of concentration. Hungry. And my feet are cold. I haven't, but I don't think it's going to be the play, because we're barely in 5th. Yeah, we've got another 500 odd revs in 5th to come out of, and this McLaren loves the high revs. I mean, by all means, try it. Have you tried the setup, Mike? It's definitely better since sent it, but it's okay base. Need to stop cutting that. It just feels nice and smooth now. And I'll approach it late again. Whoops. So I reckon this is feeling not too bad. Still not perfect. There's still something missing, but I reckon we can probably find out what it is pretty quickly. Alright, Boxer, thanks for joining in, mate. Oh, looking at chat. I mean, we're driving pretty shabby, and we're just about on time, so... bunch of time in that final chicane as well. Right, come on, let's get that. There's that front rebound kicking in, giving us that little edge of traction out there. I don't think 6 is going to be the way, mate, but we'll try it. No, we're just losing speed all the way up. Look at that. Look how much time you lose. Definitely keep it in 5th. Definitely keep it in 5th. But 2 tenths just from that, basically. Okay, I think this is good enough. Let's have a last little pass of this. Scroll down a bit. How are we looking? Oh, get rid of that. Okay, so we're a bit flatter on the front. We still need some of this on the back, though. Hang on, let me just... No, it's better. It's almost there. This front just needs to come up just slightly. I think that's probably it. And what will the rears looking like? Hang on, I'm just gonna open this, see how it compares if we've got the telemetry on. Could be an interesting thing to do, is just look how the two graphs compare across the programs. If it ever loads. Ah, stop. I didn't save the telemetry on this one. Oh, okay. So I reckon we just need a bit more rear rebound, because rebound's on this side, yeah. Then we'll be good. And okay, let's talk about toe. So if I was to do this, right, it would give us a bit more response, a bit more turning, but we don't really need that. And again, similarly, if I was to raise this rear toe, make it more positive, it would give us a bit more stability. I think it's actually fine at the minute. I'm actually going to do this and this, just as a bit of fine tune. And I think we're almost going to be there. We haven't tried too much aero off the back, but I think we're pretty much there. So I'm going to do a couple of laps where I'm just going to roll round. In fact, actually, let's do this as well. Just take a bit of caster out just to see. Maybe take a little bit of responsiveness out. Bit of oversteer, high speed out. Might not be right, but let's see how we get on. Good through there. That caster's helped. The front anti-roll, yeah, it really goes in nicely now. Really has a nice trade-off between response and grip. A little bit too much through there. Maybe we can actually break for the final sector today. Better. Okay, basically in the 16s, which for the McLaren around here ain't bad. I think CDA have got 17.0 as their time. We're 17.1, and I'm definitely not as good a driver as those guys over there. So And we've got some, well, I mean, we've got some time in this first sector. Let's carry on this lap so we can make this stick. Don't think we'll be doing Laguna today, guys. We spent a lot of time in the Spa. It's a difficult track to get right, but it's worth it. It's worthwhile. I think we've covered some really good stuff today. Stayed on, lost a bit of time though. Okay, I don't think we can get anywhere in this final sector. Still 17-1, not unhappy about that at all, guys. Not unhappy about that at all. Cool. Alright, I'm going to save this. And you guys have seen most of it. I might post it up in the Discord. The only other thing we haven't really talked about too much is caster and camber and stuff. But I think another time, because this is pretty okay, and I don't want to muck with it too much. We've been through this screen a lot. Hi Sam, we're 17-1. We're just about to finish. We've been through a lot of this already. We haven't talked about the diff too much, but I think ready for another time will be absolutely grand. We've been through the rest of this in quite a lot of detail. We spent 3 hours on the setup. Worthwhile. Going to be good. We're going to be racing this soon in a series, so I think it's really worthwhile that we've done this, and I hope you guys have learnt a little bit as well. We've looked at some of the damping, which I know you guys really like. Let's just get rid of this one. We've still got a bit of work to do. It's not perfect, but it's almost there. And what I want to get across is it just because the graph doesn't look great doesn't mean that it isn't great. We've talked about aero, we've talked about centre of pressure. If we can go to the downforce tab, let me just correct this. Oops. Centre of pressure at the end, so we're pretty high, but that's okay. It seems to be working. It's not terrible. Might need to just flatten that rear down a bit, or take some aero off maybe. One thing to try. In fact, you know what? Let's try that now. It's a huge difference because we've got that front right hide like that. But let's see if we can just try it quickly. Yeah, we'll do, buddy. Let's try one more lap. We've made a pretty drastic change there with the aero. Let's see if it works. But I think we made some good strides. And we've definitely... It's not perfect yet. Alright, mate. I mean, you could always go back through the stream because it will be up, obviously. And you can see how we've progressed it. Just try this one little change. And now we're into sort of fine tweaking territory, right? We know exactly how the car's responding to our various inputs that we're changing. I wonder if we'll actually gain any time down Kemmel with even with quite a lot less rear wing. Probably won't now that we've smacked that curve.
He's trying to stay off track.
Not representative. Let's try again. Hey Leo, yeah mate. I think we've done some good work here. I'm pretty much on the CDA time, and well, I'm not very good at Spa, and they're better than me anyway. So I think it's on par with where we've been before on some of the setups. I can send it to you. Just fine tweaking, fine tuning, and then it's time for lunch. Just want to see how quickly we actually get down this straight, and then if it's still workable. Pretty bad one actually. gain much time back through here. Not looking like a lot. 0.03 maybe, 0.04. Then we got an extra kilometre an hour. Let's see what it's like through the vents. Definitely don't have the same confidence with it at the minute, but that's just me. Doesn't seem to have the same purchase, so maybe this was... Oh, that was not good. That was not representative at all, that corner. Doesn't seem to have the same bite, even with those small changes, right? It's really, I mean, I've no idea how you've done that, Mike. What times are you getting in a minute? Either you've not carried enough speed in 5th through it, because I lost almost 2 tenths changing up to 6th beforehand. You got a whole host of revs that you're not losing, using even in 5th. Like I really struggle to. You might get not much difference at the top, but you'll be losing time in the middle. I'm happy to go through it again. In fact, let's try it. Like, just because you get the same speed, just when you get there in the same time. That makes sense. Okay, so we're just behind. In fact, because we're behind, we'll get a better deal with this. So into 5th, into 6th just before. We're flat. We're losing speed. We're losing speed. We're losing speed. Yeah, it's just not quicker, Mike. It's just not quicker. Yeah, we get 2.6, so we're 1 kilometre an hour down on what we were. But it's just not faster, I'm afraid. I'm gonna have to pull rank and disagree with you on that one. I'm afraid. But guys, I think we're gonna end the stream there because I'm getting hungry. My feet are cold. We've done some good work today. I hope it was helpful. Obviously, you guys can look back on the stream and see what we've done. We went through aero. We looked at some grass. We looked at some center of pressure. We looked at damping histograms. We looked at. Yeah. I mean, you're losing 2 tenths easy. It does turn easier, but it's because you're doing 5 miles an hour less through the centre of Eau Rouge, right? What else did we look at? We didn't look at any of this stuff because it's complicated, and I want to do a full stream on what all of this stuff is because it could take like hours to properly explain. We didn't do any temps. What else did we do? We did other stuff. I'm sure we did other stuff. Well, we did lateral, or not this one, pitch and roll gradient, sorry. And now we compared to some of the previous laps. Let's just get one of the first laps up to see how we get on. And how they are quite different, right? Maybe not that one as a good example. Oh, why do we barely have any data points for this? Let's use this one instead. Okay, great. And how this was different to how we started on all the different graphs and what that means and what these numbers up on the top right mean. You see there's a different gradient, all these, and these numbers are very different. Oh yeah, I need to get ready for Donington as well. I think we've got a bit of a setup, Leo, don't we? But we need to perfect that during the week. So yeah, I'm gonna go. Absolutely, I really enjoyed today's stream looking through all of that, so we'll make this a regular occurrence. I'll start doing more RST videos, I promise. I've just had not enough time recently, and then we'll go from there. Cheers guys, see you soon.